What it do, Dream Team? Here we are, back with another reaction video after the presidential debate. I've been seeing a lot on social media about Biden just needing to be replaced, even by someone in the Democratic Party. Like, I guess he started stumbling and fumbling over his words again and doing what Biden does, and people saying he ain't all there. So I didn't watch the debate. I never watched the debates, but I'm intrigued. I don't know how Trump did in this debate either. If he had some fails in this debate. I saw one TikTok where they were talking about playing golf, who would win in a game of golf, which is crazy. But here we are with Biden's 5 biggest fails in the first presidential debate. Before we dive in, if you enjoyed the video, make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit that like button. See what we got.
Well, it was the debate we were all waiting for, and really what the audience wanted to see today was if the 81-year-old President Joe Biden could get through it without making enormous
81
mistakes.
is crazy.
Which is unfortunately what we've been used to seeing over the last 4 years. Well, despite being in hiding for a week at Camp David with an empty schedule so his staff could prepare him for going up against Donald Trump, the moment Joe Biden entered the stage, he shuffled his way to the microphone and he looked like he was in desperate need of assistance. Now, after just 10 minutes on stage, it appeared as though he was falling asleep at the podium. His eyes were shut for a few moments as if he was going into a micro-sleep before suddenly he opened up his eyes and he was back with us again. And he continued to do that throughout the first half of that debate. But that was just the beginning.
I was gonna say I gotta see the clips of this happening. The first one, he was just walking. He was just walking to his podium. But I didn't watch it. I got to see the micro sleeps. If that is true.
Biden started speaking. Well, you know, that's when we really got into dangerous territory. He was referencing tax laws, and he claimed America has 1,000 trillionaires.
What I'm going to do is fix the tax system. For example, we have 1,000 trillionaires in America.
Look, I'm not sure if that's the case, Joe Biden, but look, sounds great. And then when he was trying to make
1,000 trillionaires, Joe, 1,000 trillionaires is crazy, dog.
more points, it was just more rambling waffle and a lot of losing his train of thought.
Eligible for what I've been able to do with the with the COVID. Excuse me, with dealing with everything we have to do with. Look, if.
Nah. 81 is just too old. It's too goddamn old. And I'm not saying nothing against Joe. You know what I'm saying? But 81 is just too old. Joe, he loses train of thought like in the middle of a sentence, and that's you the president of the United States. That's the face of the country. You can't be the face of the country and just be losing your thoughts mid-sentence and not able to finish sentences. You can't. It's not acceptable. And like I said, I don't know how Trump did in the debate either. But, Joe, this just ain't acceptable, dog.
We finally beat Medicare.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump?
Then, when he wanted to make his point about abortion, he just repeated the word period 3 times.
But we are not for late-term abortion, period. Very
strong,
that's
Joe
not
Biden.
bad.
Well done. Now, nearly every journalist and commentator that I caught up with in the lead up to this debate told me that they were expecting a stronger than usual Joe Biden to turn out today due to the amount of time he had to prepare and the amount of assistance that he was getting in the lead up to this debate. But he has failed to do that today. If it somehow wasn't clear before, it is crystal clear now. He is no longer cut out for the top job. Yesterday, I caught up with podcaster Brad Palumbo, who told me the rules of this debate were set up to favour Joe Biden, including a halftime break.
Well, we can expect a show, that's for sure. Donald Trump, if he's one thing, is an entertainer. And then Joe Biden has a lot to prove to the American public because a lot of people, including Democrats and independents, are really concerned about his ability to actually do the job of being president. We've seen him
Yeah.
glitch and freeze and look confused. We've seen him call.
It's just 81, and then you another term until he's 85. He can't. Still, I believe, and I might be conspiracy theorist in this, but that's just me, that the president is just the face of the country. I don't really truly think the president got no real power. Like, I feel like it's secretly like a group of the elite, and they really be running the country, and they really be making the decisions. Like, the richest of the rich, really, I think they got all the power, and they determine what goes on. I think so. I think the president really just the face of the country. But Jesus, Joe, 80. There's got to be an age limit at what point that you've got to say they can't be a president anymore. I know there's an age limit that you got to be to become the president. There's got to be a cutoff age limit as well to say that hey, you can't run anymore. You're too old at this point. There's got to be. And I feel like Democrats should have put somebody else up as a presidential candidate this time around. But let's continue the video.
Call out to dead people or non-existent human beings on too many occasions to count during public events or ceremonies. And so he's got the most to prove here. All Trump needs to do, he's up in many polls. He's in a strong position. Trump just kind of needs to not mess anything up, not cause himself any problems, which, you know, with him, he could always say something unexpected. But Biden's the one who I think will really be scrutinized intensely to see, is he up for it?
Apparently, Joe Biden's team have scheduled frequent breaks during his preparation for this debate. They're trying their best to keep him sharp for this debate against Donald Trump. And the 81-year-old president and his close team have moved to Camp David for intensive practice sessions, gearing up for the first of two crucial debates. How nervous would you be if you worked for Joe Biden right now?
Well, I would have absolutely refused to let him on the debate stage. I would have said, we're not doing it. Make whatever excuse you have to avoid it. But one thing I noticed is that they were able to negotiate something unusual, which is there's going to be 2 commercial breaks during this 90-minute debate. And that's unusual. Historically, in general election presidential debates in the U.S., there are no commercial breaks. You just run through for 90 minutes. You'd think the leader of the free world should be able to just speak and answer questions from a podium with a glass of water for an hour and a half. You'd think that'd be no big deal, but they were actually able to negotiate for 2 commercial breaks and other rules that seem very favorable to Biden. For example, the other person.
I wonder how much it costs to get a commercial break during a presidential debate. You know, when it's probably gonna have the like so many eyes on it. Like, I wonder what the price of getting an ad on the commercial break would be.
And other rules that seem very favorable to Biden. For example, the other person's mic will be turned off while the other is speaking, which
I agree with
Trump
that.
from getting his jabs in or
no, I agree with that because that one presidential debate where neither one of them would like just let the other one answer without someone butting in, that was just ridiculous. That was like, is this a debate or is this an argument? Like, yeah, just go. I agree with. I gotta watch this debate. I gotta check this debate out. But yes, I feel like while one person talking, the other person mic should be cut off because they can't sit there quiet while the other person's talking. And then after that person's talking, they made their point. All right, now you can rebuttal to what they just said. But I think because of that last presidential debate between these two, you had to make it that way.
Cutting or throwing Biden off, which is something Trump's very good at. We saw him famously do that to Hillary Clinton on multiple occasions in 2016. So this debate stage seems to have been skewed to be as favorable as possible to Biden with some unusual accommodations. But I would still be very worried that he's going to refer to himself as a senator, refer to himself as vice president, reference a dead colleague who died years ago as if he's just spoken to them or as if he's just seen them, confuse world leaders that he's recently engaged with for ones that have actually been out of office or dead for years. I'd be very concerned that he'd be going to do that on the debate stage, but I guess it feels like he has to because things aren't going well for him, I guess. He feels behind in a lot of the polls, or that he's got to try to make a case to the people to show them he's not too frail or too old to do the job. So the onus really is on Biden.
I would argue that he's really failing to make that case, though, when there is so much concern around his age and his mental health. The fact that there are breaks in this debate, I think, really doesn't help. It really feeds into the narrative that, no, he's not up to the job.
It definitely does, but only if you know that that's unusual. And I guess because in the presidential primary debates, so the Republican primary and the Democratic primary, they have presidential debates, and it's fairly normal for there to be commercial breaks during those ones. But it's just the general election televised debates where historically there haven't been commercial breaks. So he might be banking on the fact that a lot of people won't notice that. I mean, heck, we have commercial breaks mid American football games here.
Yeah.
So people are pretty used to commercials.
Exactly.
So I think he's probably hoping that people.
I don't think anybody, like you said, I don't think anybody would take that as like out of the ordinary because, like you said, it's commercials for everything nowadays. Even when you pay for certain services, you still get ads.
Don't notice that that's actually quite unusual.
Well, we are going to notice if there's another gaffe, which, look, I would put my money on that there probably will be. I don't know how long he can really last speaking until he stumbles and makes a mistake, but we will wait and see tomorrow. How crucial is this debate really when, of course, we know the two candidates so well, Donald Trump and Joe Biden? Is this debate actually going to change the minds of voters?
Well, the impact of presidential debates is pretty limited, but it's definitely not zero. And the thing is, I think pretty much everyone agrees this is going to, especially with the electoral college system, it could be an incredibly close election. It could come down to just thousands of votes in a handful of swing states, like it famously did for Trump's 2016 victory. So in that kind of an environment where it's so razor thin, a moment from these debates where Biden looks confused or where he mixes up a name or refers to a dead person, which he just does all the time, that could actually hurt him. Whereas a couple months ago or a little while back, he gave a speech for the State of the Union where he was yelling a lot. There was a lot of bizarre substance to it, but he actually was, seemed to be present and alert for the whole thing. And it gave him a little bit of a boost because people were like, hey, okay, maybe he's not as far gone as I thought. If you could have a showing like that, obviously we have no idea, but if there's any way they could get him just for 90 minutes to lock in and seem fully present, maybe that could reassure people who are on the fence about voting for him. But honestly, if I were him, I'd be really concerned.
What are your thoughts on RFK Jr.? Should have he been allowed to join in?
Well, they notoriously make the rules very hard for a third-party candidate to get in because historically the people who've made the rules is a committee of Democrats and Republicans who can't agree on much, but can certainly agree that they don't want third-party candidates to be on that debate stage.
Which is crazy, dog. I definitely want to hear more because Trump and Biden, I don't know if either one of them should be leading America in this presidential election. But RFK Jr., I haven't heard of him, and I guess there's a reason because I mean it's going to be much harder for them to be recognized as a third party than a Democrat or a Republican. But I'd be intrigued to hear Kennedy's policies as well and what he stands for.
Stage. And look, I disagree with RFK Jr. on many things. I agree with him on a few things. But I think having more voices and more perspectives is a good thing. So I would have liked to see him on the debate stage. I would have liked Americans to know that you don't only have two options this November. There's also going to be Libertarian Party candidates and Green Party candidates. So people do often forget about these options because in many ways the U.S. electoral system is heavily, heavily skewed by the two mainstream parties. The only time they can work together is to keep third parties out, basically, is the only time they can ever agree on anything. So they set a very high bar that RFK Jr. doesn't appear to have met, but honestly, he got surprisingly close, which tells you the fact that he got 15% in any polls is really quite something we haven't seen in a long time for a third party candidate.
Yeah, that's true. It shows you that there are plenty of Americans out there that want change.
RFK Jr. Let me learn what you about. You might be the next guy that needs to lead, but it's probably gonna be out of a Democrat or Republican, for sure. But yeah, Biden, you're just too old, dog. Like, no disrespect to President Biden. I don't really keep up with politics well. I'm starting to learn more and more about them. So as I learn more, I'll understand what each one of them did for the country when they were president. But he's just 81, dog, and to be going, and this is a 4-year term. It's just, it's very tough to vote for someone that old. I don't know. Y'all let me know what y'all think in the comment section. Also, if you enjoyed that reaction, make sure you check out this video next. Subscribe to the channel, ring notification bell. It's your boy Neal. Out.